Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the host of the Deep Woods Paranormal Show, and I'm also the founder and lead investigator with Deep Woods Paranormal, along with my wife Amanda. We investigate anything and everything paranormal, be it Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, haunted locations, demons, river monsters, lake monsters, strange lights, um, aliens, cryptid creatures. If it's paranormal in nature, we investigate it. So on these podcasts, we basically talk about, said that twice, we talk about anything paranormal. Some of our podcasts are more specific, like this is a Bigfoot only podcast. So we're only pretty much talking about Bigfoot on this podcast. We will have a Dogman only podcast, or Dogman podcast, I should say. We have a paranormal podcast where we talk about anything. We have Amanda's ghost stories where she talks about her ghost stories from the past. And then we also have the crypto podcast. And then we also have the, cryptids podcast. I can't talk today. Then we also have the paranormal news. So we will have 5 podcasts on here as soon as I can get it done. It takes a little while for me to get them done, but I am enjoying my new video editor that I've created. And now, basically, as you guys have seen the last couple of videos, we've really upgraded what our videos look like, and we're going to continue to do that. So we're moving towards being more professional and stuff like that. If you're wondering, yes, I am in the Deep Woods Paranormal office. This is the front room of our house. You can see there's a lot of stuff behind me, including haunted dolls off over my shoulder here. These are all haunted. There's a bunch of haunted objects over here. We do get entities that will show up in the doorway here, and then also here. I'll point with my other finger in this hallway here. They do come into the room. Sometimes we get EVPs on our podcasts. So if you're listening through and you hear something and you go, okay, wait, what? Now, Amanda is talking in the background. She's working on something. So you might hear her because this mic picks up everything. But anyways, all right. So let's get into the podcast here. Let's get this over just a tad so it looks a little better. All right. So today, I've kind of talked about doing this Bigfoot only show, or this Bigfoot show, for quite a while. And at this point, I want to take it to the next level. I want to look at other shows, what I liked, what I don't like, and I'm going to look at our previous videos and stuff like that. We'll talk about Joe's Camp again. I know if you've been on this, you've heard me talking about Joe's Camp so many times, but I mean, we could do a whole season. We spent 2 years investigating off and on at Joe's Camp. We investigated 2 or 3 weekends in a row, and then we took a 2 or 3 week break because at that point they stopped responding, or there was just like they already knew who we were, they knew what was going on, so we had to figure out something else to try with them. And so essentially, we will be doing. Pardon me, my hat is all crooked. We will be doing more research up there. We're going to be looking all over Texas for Bigfoots, and I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. And then we're going to kind of review some videos from our YouTube channel, and for you guys to enjoy, and for you guys to make up your own minds. Is it Bigfoot? Is it not? Is it something else? Who knows? At this point, again, you got to take all this with a grain of salt. There is no solid. Well, okay, let me try that again. There is no proof out there that is 100%. Now there is for Bigfoots. There's a Patterson Gimlin film. There's other videos. We have videos out there that show them, and they are on trail cam, by the way, and other things like that. So there's footprints, there's hair samples, there's DNA samples, there's handprints. There's a full body print where something Bigfoot possibly, again, take all this with a grain of salt, possibly laid down on the ground in a muddy area while it was looking for food and stuff. So, I mean, I'll go through the samples with you guys again. Where did I put that? Bear with me for just a second here. This camera will not stay focused on where it's supposed to stay. I don't know what I did with that hair sample. Anyways, all right, so we'll have to get that on the next one. I had it here somewhere. I don't know where it disappeared to. And we also have this camera facing the doorway. So if we see this camera here up on over my right shoulder is now facing out towards the door, and it's facing the haunted dolls and everything. It picks up on motion. So if there's any motion, it should pick it up and record it. We've got a lot of videos that there's nothing there, but they recorded a video anyways. So anyways, all right. So without further ado, let me share my screen with you guys. I want to share that. Okay, so here's the home camera. Let's share this first. So this is what that camera up on top over there looks like. And so basically it's facing the doorway. Again, the entity the other night wasn't much taller. It was about the same height as this light socket. And essentially it was peering around the corner here. And then it appeared in the doorway at one point in time too. So you're welcome to go back and watch that video podcast and see what you think. You know, do you see the shadow? Do you see the movement? This camera will be trained over there. I apologize. It's a little grainy for some reason. It is a high-end video camera, so I don't know why it's doing this pixelating thing. But anyways, we're going to move on to the next thing. Let's see. Let me stop sharing this. Let me go back into sharing. Let me move over to the Google Maps. So like I said, I want to talk about the shows that are out there. Let's start over here. Actually, let's start here. Okay, so if you're on an audio podcast, you might be on the iHeartRadio podcast app or on one of these over here. We're on about 60 different podcast apps. So you're welcome to come over here and listen to everything. If you want to actually visually see what we do, our YouTube channel is here. Our Rumble channel is also down below that. If you're not interested in being part of Rumble, we do have a TikTok channel and stuff like that. And then all of the rest of our links are basically in here to all social media, our website, everything. I'll kind of go into that with you real quick. So this is where our podcast, let me refresh the screen. So this is where our podcasts come to. Once this is just the audio only podcast. And if you want to contact us, you saw the little thing pop up. You can contact us there. You can also contact us down here. You can see it pops up, and it basically, you know, if you have a question, you have a comment about the podcast or whatever, you feel free to comment here. Please be polite. Everybody's always been very polite, but please be polite and you know, let me know what you need help with. We also help people in their homes. We've been doing a lot of that lately. We've been helping a lot of people with paranormal problems and trying to help them, you know, not be so scared in their own homes and trying to figure out what's actually going on. Sometimes it's easier to fix than others. But anyways, all right. So let's go on to the next thing. All right, Manscaped. If you haven't been Manscaped, you should get Manscaped. So this is the Performance Package 4.0. This is what they sent me. There's a couple different crop preservers, as they call it. And essentially that's just deodorant for down there. There's a trimmer and a nose hair trimmer. I was lucky enough to get a really nice shirt and a really nice pair of boxers. If you like wearing boxers, I would totally, you know, get the boxers. It also came with a really nice carrying case. I'm not going to go down. But they have lots of products on here. So you can basically go shop now if you want. The link is in the description, whether you're listening to the audio podcast or you're watching this video podcast. You can come on here and if you decide to buy something in the discount code, put in DWP. And you're asking, what does DWP stand for? It stands for Deep Woods Paranormal. Anyways, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Here's our buy us a coffee page. You can buy us, you know, as many as you want. They're $3 a piece, and essentially it just helps us to achieve our $2,000 goal. Thank you to everybody who's already donated to us. So let's move on. All right, so let's quickly watch this video. This is and this is kind of reminiscing, if you will. This is Amanda and I at Black Star Canyon. I believe it was had to be after 8 or 9 o'clock. There was nobody else there that we know of, and what I did was I turned around, I backed in, and before I backed in, I went and set up a video camera back there and turned it on to record. And this is what you're seeing. Essentially, I popped it up on a tripod, faced it out the back, and then when I opened the door, every time I parked in this location, I kept hearing like rustling behind me. And by the time I get a video camera out and turn around and start to look around over the barbed wire fence and stuff, there was nothing there. So I got smarter. This is probably 12, 13, 14 years ago. So I set the camera on the tripod, and essentially what you're looking at behind me is a barbed wire fence. And down, it basically slopes down at I would say about a 20 or 30 degree angle, down about 7 or 8 feet down into the creek below it. And basically this area is all flat. It's just gravel, sandy gravel. So you can park there and not get stuck. But anyways, as we're kind of pulling gear out because we're going to go ghost hunting, I think, there's a Bigfoot that possibly walks in behind us, and you see this eye shine. And I find that most of the time at night, the only way you're going to see them is through eye shine, unless you have, even if you have night vision binoculars like we do. We have a lot of high-end military gear now that records, but it doesn't record audio, unfortunately. So anyways, unless you have something really, really high end that it can see really, really well in the dark, which this camera is an older camera. It's an old Sony Handycam. I think it's only 7 megapixels, and it didn't matter how much IR light I threw on this thing, it couldn't see more than about 5 or 6 feet. But what's interesting is the IR light reflects off of these eyes, and then basically it gets caught on camera. So let's watch this real quick. So like I said, I'm getting stuff out of the back, trying to get ready. And I'll tell you when I see the eyes. There's Amanda. So that's not the eyes I'm talking about. It was really cold that night. It was like 30 some odd degrees.
First, 2016.
There, right there. So something's standing behind us already. Let me back this up just real quick because it's really hard to see. It's just a quick glimmer. Okay. So Amanda pops up, and then right
December 1st, 2016.
There. It happens about 17 seconds, maybe 16. It's probably right in between frames.
16.
There. See where her earmuff is? Right back there. There's something standing behind her. There. Okay. So you can see eye shine behind her. You can also kind of see what looks like part of a head. Now, I can't say for sure, 100% sure that's Bigfoot, but it's very interesting. Who else would be behind us like that for no reason? And they're about that. I did a measurement where those eyes were. Amanda's about 5'2", 5'3". So maybe take 6 inches off of her. Now that fence behind us is at about 3 or 4 feet. And then it slopes down. Where this thing was, it was about 3 or 4 feet back behind us. I estimated this thing at about 8 feet tall, where the eye shine is. So I'm 6'3", 6'2", something like that. Anyways, let's watch this for another second or two.
This camera is actually facing out towards the back where there's.
Okay, that's into that video. So I'm not going to keep going with that. But yeah, that was interesting to have something walk like right up behind us, and we didn't hear it. Well, no, I did hear it. I heard rustling behind me, and that's why in the full length video I actually turn and look to see what the heck's going on. There's a longer video on our playlist, and if you want to go into the Bigfoot only playlist, the Bigfoot playlist on our channel, I'll show you where that is in just a second here. In fact, this is it. So yeah, here's another video. Well, we're gonna go through this ad, unfortunately.
That was so fast, I didn't even.
Okay, so let's skip this ad. All right, so let me set the stage. This is a place I used to go a lot. This is Black Star Canyon, same place as the other video. It's in Orange County, California, and I used to basically go out there and by myself and just walk around. It actually just helped me get stress out and stuff like that. Helped me kind of just re-energize and stuff like that. And it was good exercise to go walk a couple miles, 2 or 3 miles sometimes at night, and get my energy out. And I always came back feeling pretty good after I went up there. So I'm up at the just past the gate, and I'm hearing something. I'm actually using a K2 to communicate with ghosts because it's said to be haunted, and I know it's haunted. There's ghosts, there's shadow people, there's the woman in white, a lot of other stuff, and I'll get into maybe that in another video. If you've heard me talk about Black Star Canyon before, you've heard me mention all these things before. So let's watch this video real quick, and you'll hear a bunch of stuff happen. It'll play. So the K2 starts to go off for me. So we got the K2. And as the K2 starts to go off, I start hearing clicking. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And so as it continues, I try to pan towards. Let me set this up for you guys. So as you're walking through the gate, you have to go about 100 feet. And on the right, there's a big berm that goes up maybe 15 feet, maybe a little higher. And there's a line of trees that basically go across the front of there, where it kind of mounds out on the top and flattens out, and then it kind of slopes back down. And there's a bunch of old oak trees up there. It's a great lookout point. I mean, if you wanted to watch for miles and miles, I mean, you could see probably a mile away if you had the good enough equipment. You can see people if you stood up there, back behind one of the trees, or just kind of ducked down. You can see people coming from basically half a mile away in either direction, up and down the road. So I mean, that makes sense for a Bigfoot to be up there. Anyways, let's keep watching. Oh, so let me apologize. If you're watching this video, I apologize for it being so dark. Like I said, it was Black Star Canyon is in the secluded area of Orange County. It's up by Irvine Lake, and essentially it's dark. There's no external lights. There's no light posts or anything like that. At least there wasn't when I was up there. I don't. Hopefully they haven't added any. But you walk down this fire access road, and then it goes back up into the hills up there, and so there's not a lot of light. And I don't know how many little IR lights I had on that camera. Sometimes I had up to like 10 or 12, and you could only see like 5 or 6 feet. So I was always trying to face something that kind of had either some trees or had a slope or something so you could kind of see. But unfortunately, this old Sony Handycam that I had back then, it just couldn't see very well in the dark. More than about 5 or 6 feet, it wasn't clear. So I did my best with it, and we've upgraded quite a few times since then. But let's keep watching. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can hear all the clicking. There's like branches being snapped and like rocks being clicked together, really, and it's almost like they're sending out an alarm that, hey, and this is just my interpretation, my theory. So, if you have a different thing, that's great. Well, comment down below. I'd love to hear it. But my theory, based off of my experiences, not anybody else's, mine only, is that they make those sounds to essentially let other Bigfoots know, hey, there's somebody coming. That's very soft. Let me move my mic back over here. Okay, so that's me whistling, but I don't know if you guys heard of it. So essentially, I was trying to whistle to see if they would whistle back.
I don't know what makes that sound, but I'm pretty sure it's some kind of animal that just made a lot of noise.
So let me stop this for a second. So essentially, I did not know what that noise was at the point in time. In fact, I don't think I even heard it as clearly as it was on the audio of the Sony Handycam. So when I listened back, I'm like, oh, that sounds like clicking and tree branches being snapped. So, anyways.
This is the berm just above where the gate is.
And yes, those are drumsticks I'm holding in my hand. I've heard rocks clicking together before, and so my thinking was, what I found a pair of drumsticks at a thrift store, and so I started to like click them together at the store. I'm like, and it sounded very close to rocks being clicked together, and so I wanted to mimic them. So essentially, what I did was every time I mimicked them, they would make that same noise back. It was really cool. It was a cool experience. Let me actually fast forward past all this stuff because at the end there's something that happens I want you guys to hear. Let me see if I can find the video. Okay, so this is refreshing. Bear with me.
Bill O'Brien, Henson Chevy Buick GMC in Madisonville is your one-stop shop with a.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Why is there all that clicking happening?
It's still up there.
So I'm looking at the berm. Yeah, that was me doing the
It's still interested in talking to me or what?
drumsticks clicking together. So what I'm waiting for is there's some big long scream that happens. I don't want to go past it. Let me see if I can find it a little further in. So you're seeing a tree. You're seeing a tree here and a sign. These are actually trees. So I'm looking up the berm, trying to see if I can see anything, eye shine or anything.
Some kind of screen. I don't know.
Okay, so I missed the scream. That's what I was going after.
Click, click. See.
Yeah, and if you're ever in the forest and you got that creepy feeling like you're being watched, that's the feeling I had. I remember this very, very well. Um, I mean, the clicking was only like 10, 15, maybe 20 feet away from me. And I had just had an experience with them. And I've talked about that before, where I had a really close encounter a couple of feet away. This Bigfoot was only a couple of feet away from me, scared the living bejesus out of me, kept me out of Black Star Canyon for a good 3 to 4 months. And even after I went back, I was extremely timid to go up and around that corner. If you've been to Black Star Canyon, you know what I'm talking about. The road kind of dead ends, it turns to the right and then starts up into the mountains. What the fuck? Oops. We're gonna have to have an edit. Sorry about that. Didn't realize that had popped in there. But you heard that roar. Essentially it was way, way, way louder than what you could hear with your own ears. So, anyways, there's a lot of Bigfoot videos on here. I don't want to go through them all with you. We had a lot of strange things happen at Joe's camp. That's one of the places that we frequent up here. Let's see. So you guys, I'm not going to go through all these. Anyways, so yeah, I will link our Bigfoot only podcast. Sorry, I will link our Bigfoot playlist down below for you guys to watch. Let's go over here. So I tried to just basically only use the Bigfoot pins. If you've been following my channel for a while, you've seen all these pins. Let me just zoom out because you can see the scope of it. Now I've started pinning in other places as well. California, I used to have so many pins up and down California coast, and unfortunately, when I traded in my phone, for some reason, Google Maps decided to delete them all. So thank God I had stored a bunch of the locations in my contacts, and I was able to put them all back on. It took me a long time to do, but I started following Bigfoot reports from other people, and essentially all these blue and yellow pins across the whole United States are Bigfoot reports. Now, some of these are 2 or 3 or 4 reports per pen. Some of them are up to 10 or so in an area. What I do when I drop a pin is I basically try and find that exact location. But a lot of the times people won't give you the exact location, and I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. So essentially what I do is I try and drop the pin as close to where the activity happened as possible. Sometimes if it's a road crossing or something like that, I can pin it real close. If it's not, then essentially I have to kind of pin the location, like the closest city, or if they say it was by a 7-Eleven on this, on this road or whatever, I pin it that way. But and then of course I got a lot of my own pins that I do for myself. If I see something strange or I see something that could possibly be Bigfoot related, I will go and drop a pin so I can go back and look for it later. Now, a lot of these pins that you're seeing, actually, it looks like it took the other pins out. Some of these are work pins, but most of them, the ones in blue, are basically Bigfoot reports. So you can see there's clusters everywhere. Let me zoom back in because it shows more pins. So some of the yellow ones are not Bigfoot, but most of the blue are. I tried to switch over to blue only because I wanted to make sure that I had a better way of finding it. If you see green pin like this one, it's a location I believe I want to go check out. This might be a campground or something. Here's another green one. Here's another campground. Yeah, this is a campground that I want to go stay at and do like an overnight or a couple of overnights in and around that area. So that's my plan, is to go out to these locations. I'm going to start putting dates on calendars here soon. And if you've been with me for a long time, or even for the last couple months, you've seen me talk about all these green pins. And what I basically want to go do is go to those locations and maybe, like I said, spend a night. And if I have any kind of activity or find any types of traces of anything during the day, then I will probably spend the night and try and document stuff at night as well. What I want to do I know Amanda says that she wants to come with me, and so that may or may not happen. I'm looking to put together a team of 5 or 6 people, so I can have at least 2 groups, if not 3, groups of 2. And my plan is to basically be able to do a triangle. Essentially, maybe one group on one place. So let's just say something like this. Here's a triangle right here. So maybe one group here, and then another group up here. I'm trying to start pushing on the pins. But these are Bigfoot sightings all throughout this area. So let me zoom in a little bit more. These are a little far apart, but I'm not talking about having us be too far apart. Maybe a couple 3 or 4 miles, maybe a little further. Maybe there's a couple of different campgrounds, and we want to go into one. One of us goes into one campground, or one group of us goes into one campground. Another group goes into another campground. Another group goes into another campground around. Or we just drop somebody off in the woods and they go stay in the woods for the night. And the other 2 groups of people maybe do the same thing, just in a different area. So we can cover a large area. We'll have walkie-talkies or phones, at least, that we can communicate back and forth with. Sometimes cell phone service, especially out here, is spotty at best. So trying to send a text or even make a phone call is difficult. And I don't really want people to be on their phones while we're trying to document stuff, because if something happens, I want them to be, number one, hands-free. But number 2, I want to make sure we can document whatever's going on. That includes me. I'm like one of the biggest people of having my cell phone in my hand when I'm not supposed to, and that's Chance walking in. One of our 5 dogs. So anyways, that's part of my plan. I want to go to different places, and we're going to start with Texas. If we can get picked up by network or one of the mainstream medias, or even like Netflix or Hulu or somebody like that, and we can actually earn a paycheck, then what we'll do is we'll start branching out to other states. But I want to go to different locations like this campground here and check things out. So you can see this is very secluded. It'd be easy to drop a tent here and then walk off like this person did, off into the woods. It's next to a body of water, which is interesting. There are Bigfoot reports around this area. So you can see that you're right down on the water. This is like a more secluded area. You can see a tent on the right. But I mean, you can walk off out into the wilderness and put your tent somewhere else in certain places. Let's just go through here. Like out here, you could basically set up a camp out here somewhere, and essentially, do your calls and all that stuff. We need to make sure that we're away from other campers so we don't disturb anybody, especially at night. A lot of campgrounds have, different policies where it's quiet time after 10 p.m. And that's the times that we want to be out. I think from 10 to 6 in the morning is when we really want to focus on being out in the forest, trying to make calls and stuff like that. So you can just see on these pictures, beautiful location. Could a Bigfoot be in this area? Yes, definitely. I would imagine there's deer out here and stuff like that. Like I said, it's very, very secluded. It's off out in the middle of by a lake, and Bigfoots do come into forests a lot out here. I mean, come out of the forest into places where people are. Okay, this thing is being a pain. Hold on a second. There we go. Now I can close that. All right. So yeah, I mean, up by Joe's. Let's see, where's Joe's on here? Joe lives up in northern Texas. So he's up in the Sabine National Forest. And as you can see, there's quite a few pins up by where he lives. Where I would target is I'd probably target some of these lakes, go looking at some of these lakes and try and basically camp here, or even over where the Red River National Refugee and God, I can't talk tonight. The Red River Refuge is. This might be a really good place too, because it's basically very secluded. There's not a lot of people here. It looks like there's more fracking operations and stuff like that and farms than anything else. I know by Joe's, there's not a lot of stuff up by him, but we could definitely look like over here. Here's a place where there's been a sighting of a Bigfoot crossing the road, I believe. And then, basically, if you look at these areas, these areas are large. They're not they're acreage. They're not just like somebody's house or anything like that. These are large areas, and this is like an oil area. You've got the road with, of course, businesses and stuff. But a Bigfoot could come back here and hide and hunt, and you would never even know they're here. These are all fracking operations, all these little pads, meaning there's not going to be very many people around. And we've talked to people that worked at the oil derricks, and they've had stories to tell as well. So I want to take, and that's over in Shreveport, of course. I want to take the Bigfoot hunting shows, and I want to take the best of them. Like if I'm looking at Expedition Bigfoot, I liked how they went somewhere, they stayed there for like 30 days or whatever it was. Their expedition started and ended in a certain period of time where they've had reports of Bigfoots in that area. They used some kind of algorithm to figure out where they were going to be. I don't know exactly how they did that. More than likely what they did was they picked a bunch of sightings that were most recent and decided to go into that area. That would be my guess. If you know how they did it, again, feel free to comment down below. I'd love to know. But anyways, so they went into an area and they conducted research. They combed that whole area. They had one gentleman that went out and was a ex-military gentleman. He was, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube or get a copyright claim or anything like that. But they went out into the wilderness, and he went out into the wilderness and he scouted ahead. He was out looking for nests. He was out there looking for anything he could find to essentially prove or disprove Bigfoot's in that area. And then you had the other group. You had a primatologist, which was amazing. I really like that idea. And to have an expert primatologist that knows about monkeys and apes and gorillas and stuff like that. Because if we do see one and we possibly do get one on video, they can break that down and say, okay, yeah, this is why that was a Bigfoot, and go from there. So I apologize for the vacuum. It decided to come in here and haunt me as I'm doing my podcast. So hopefully that's not too loud. But I really like that. And I really like the Finding Bigfoot show too. I've heard a lot of people tell me they really enjoyed it as well. What I liked about it is they had 4 people, and essentially they had people that could do screams. They did the town halls. I think interviewing witnesses is huge. When we get going here, we're already pretty much going. We're just starting. But once we get going enough to the point where we can do it, I'd like to start going out to certain locations. We're going to pick an area on the map. And these areas are massive, by the way. This is a huge area if this thing will stop doing whatever it's doing. Essentially, we have this huge green belt, all from... Okay, stop. You have this huge green belt, and it goes from, basically cuts Texas in half, goes into Louisiana, goes into Mississippi, goes into Arkansas, goes into Oklahoma, goes into Kansas, goes into Missouri, and it continues on essentially across the whole middle of, even into South Dakota and Nebraska. That half of the country is all Bigfoot territory, guys. I mean, all the way down into Florida, you got skunk ape. I mean, they're not called Bigfoots everywhere. I mean, you got the wood booker, you got the swamp ape, you got all kinds of different names for them. Sasquatch, different people call them different things. You got to remember that there's possibly multiple different shapes and sizes. I know I've seen a blonde one, a brown one, a dark brown or black one. I've seen a red one. And then a gray one. So I imagine as they get older, they probably lose their pigment and essentially, like we do, like you can see in my beard, I have some brown and some gray, and unfortunately, even some white in there at the age of whatever the hell I am. So, anyways, excuse my language. But yeah, that would be my plan. I want to get a group of enthusiasts together. Maybe not believers, not necessarily everybody has to be a believer. I'd like to have at least one kind of skeptical person, maybe a skeptical believer on the team that leans more to the skeptic side, just because it'll keep us more honest. I want to make sure that our evidence is decent enough to say, that couldn't be anything else but from a Bigfoot, whether it's a footprint, a heel print, a handprint, whatever, a hair sample, anything like that. I want to make sure it's credible. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to find a DNA specialist who can work with us and analyze samples of things and tell us, yes, this is, possibly from a primate or it isn't. And basically what I'd like to do is my cast, I call it a cast, but I want it to be real people. This is going to be a real thing. I don't want anything fake on my show. And what I want to do is I want to have people that are either hunters or spend a lot of time in the woods that know like the different plants and what's edible, what's not. I'm working on that for myself. I want them to know the different sounds that different animals make. And I'm working on that for myself. I have to come home sometimes and go, okay, what is this noise? And sometimes I have to have, get information from other people as to what it is. I have a few friends that are hunters, and I think one of them is going to probably try and join us on the show, maybe as a guest from time to time, depending on what the schedule's like. And then I want to make sure that we have a primatologist available to us to answer questions and to review evidence with us and say, okay, yeah, there are, the apes do that or monkeys do that or something, something that would basically ring a bell with them, that would look normal to them. We want to basically have, those kind of people on the show, even if they're just coming in and contributing. That's the point of my show. I want to take the best of other shows and put them together on our show. It'll be more of I don't want to call it a reality show, but it'll be more real life, and it'll be real reactions, real people doing things. And I want to make sure it's 100% solid. So anyways, if you guys have any questions or comments or whatever, what would you like to see on the show? What did you like about finding Bigfoot? What did you like about finding, Expedition Unknown? What didn't you like about those shows? Personally, the things I didn't like about maybe finding Bigfoot was they didn't spend enough time in an area. And I met Nat and I met Bobo, and they, unfortunately, they weren't able to spend more time at a location. They had to pick up and move to the next location because they had a person, witnesses probably waiting for them and stuff like that. So unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. But for us, I'd like to spend time there. I mean, I've talked about Joe's so many times, but I would love to maybe set up a base camp at Joe's camp, probably tents or campers or whatever we have. Leave some cameras hidden. We have to stealth our cameras. These things do know what a trail cam looks like. They know what we're doing. It's very hard to trick them anymore because they have been caught on trail cam. And one of these days I will sit down and do like the best evidence I have. I'll present that to you guys on the Bigfoot only podcast. But essentially, I want to work our way out from Joe's camp. even if we're just doing, a couple of day hikes in and around his area in the national forest, there are locations that I think we could find Bigfoots at. And I'm pretty confident in that. And at least find signs of them. Maybe not find them, but find signs of them. Whether it be footprints, tree bends, tree structures. Maybe we hear them do tree knocks. Maybe we hear them scream or howl or whoop or whatever they do. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I really like to do. I'd really like to. I'll just show you the Sabine National Forest. Sabine National Forest. Let's see, where is that? Okay, so the Sabine National Forest is this area here. So basically, it covers this whole area. It's a big chunk. It's like all this area right here. And there are, there's some homesteads out there. Like, for example, Joe's family has owned his acreage. He has 55 acres. They've owned that property since pre-Civil War time. When Joe first got that camp offered to him, his parents said, no, you really don't want to go out there. There hadn't been anybody on that property for like 20 years because his family moved away from it because they were terrified of it, because things were coming down and scaring them, and they were hearing howls and screams and tree knocks and you name it, Bigfoot related. They were experiencing it. So they essentially just left the property be. And from what Joe tells me, he had to clear cut his way up to where his camp is now. And if you go watch Joe's camp, you'll see all of his stuff. But yeah, we documented quite a bit of stuff, from eye shine to screams to howls to tree knocks to eye shine at night to footprints to. I don't think we found any hair samples. That's the only thing that really has me scratching my head about Joe's camp. Why have we never found any hair samples? Well, we found footprints. We've had visual sightings of Bigfoots and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it just makes me wonder why we've never found any hair samples. We found dead deer on his property that have been fresh killed and stuff like that. And we've left offerings and whatever else. And Joe has seen them eat corn right off the ground because he leaves corn for the deer. He did. I don't know if he hunts on his property anymore, but he did for a while. And so, yeah, I mean, just cool locations. I also want to go into locations where people have deer leases and maybe pay them for the deer lease for at least half the season, if not the full season. I need to talk to my friend that does that, and if they're in Bigfoot territory, and see if we can maybe set up one of these deer leases. And because they usually have blinds set up for you, and we may not kill a deer. Well, we're probably not going to kill a deer, but we could definitely use the blind to put cameras on and stuff like that, and monitor what's going on up there in relative secrecy without the Bigfoots knowing that we're up there, and then maybe leave trail cams throughout. And one of the things that Joe has taught me, I mean, I've taught him a crap ton of stuff, and he's also very, very knowledgeable. I mean, he lives in the forest. He's a true mountain man, if you will. He fixes things on his own. He creates things. He's just an amazing guy. And so, he's taught me a lot of stuff about animal behaviors and stuff out there. And he knows, what's what and what's not what. So anyways, like I said, I'd like to get out into that area, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now. All right, you can see our robot vacuum there, clicking away at every last and trying to make as much noise as it can. I swear that thing's possessed. Most of my electronics are possessed in some way or shape or form. Sorry for the shaky camera here. Anyways, so yeah, that's something I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you guys have questions regarding the show, if you'd like to possibly be on the show, if you're in Central Texas or East Texas, let me know. Have you seen a Bigfoot? Have you are you a witness to one? Again, there is no judgments on our there will be no judgments on our show. You know, we don't want people to feel ridiculed. We don't want people to feel afraid to talk about their experiences. It's actually therapeutic to actually discuss it with somebody, especially somebody that believes them and feels like, you know, knows what they're talking about and possibly has experienced what they have. So if you've had an experience, again, you will not be ridiculed. You will not be, you know, made fun of or have us roll our eyes at you or go, no, that couldn't have happened. We would like to talk to you because, like I said, as I start to set up the show, we're going to need witnesses as part of our show. And we might be interested in setting up town halls. Like I said, as we get going, we might be setting up town halls and stuff like that. So, again, what do you guys want to see in a Bigfoot hunting show? What do you guys want us to try and do? Is there certain things and tricks that you'd like us to try? Are there things, like I said, you know, what would you like us to do? What did you really enjoy about finding Bigfoot or Expedition Bigfoot or whatever? Feel free to comment down below, or you can message me. My email and my phone number are actually in the description. If you're watching or listening to this, you can go there. Again, if you want to see the video podcast, it'll be both on our Rumble page and our YouTube channel. Sometimes it takes about 12 to 24 hours for the video to drop over on Rumble from our YouTube channel. But anyways, yeah, so that's my plan. I'm still working on details. If you want to be part of the show in some way, shape, or form, we're going to need people to volunteer to follow us around with cameras and audio gear. We're going to need people who want to actually investigate Bigfoot, and we may have a different crew every time we go out. I don't know. It may be that some people want to go to certain places and some people don't want to go to others. You may not have a consistent cast. I don't know if you guys are going to enjoy that or not. I know people like to get to know the characters of a show and stuff like that, and get to know them. So that might be another thing that happens, just depending on what's going on, especially if we aren't being paid to do this. So again, this will be us working on our own free time until we get picked up by somebody, but that's coming. I can tell by anything we put up Bigfoot, we get like 4 or 5 times the amount of views and listeners and comments and stuff like that. So we know you guys want us to do more Bigfoot stuff, and that is coming. Like I said, I'm working out the details on how we're going to put together a show, and I'm looking for people to be part of it. So, like I said, comment below, contact me via email or cell phone or on our website. You can go almost anywhere to find our information through Facebook Messenger, whatever. You can friend us on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. And we'll talk with you further. And if you have ideas you want to share, or you've had an experience you want to share, but maybe don't want to be on the show and don't want your information out there, that's great. You can share the location with us and then basically give us information from there, and then we can basically talk about it for you. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will catch you on the next one.